Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. Bienvenue au podcast We Are Entrepreneurs, le podcast pour découvrir les jeunes entrepreneurs québécois, mieux comprendre leur mentalité, leur mindset, leur attitude et les problèmes qu'ils vivent au jour le jour. Aujourd'hui, on accueille un ami à moi que j'ai rencontré à Medellín, en Colombie. Une personne extraordinaire qui est un life coach, pas un entrepreneur québécois, mais je pense que juste le rencontrer, mieux comprendre son mindset, son lifestyle, ça va vous amener à d'autres contenus pour votre vie entrepreneuriale. So we're moving to English for this one, and we're welcoming Tamas Bedo from Hongria, Budapest. And I was saying we met in Medellin, Colombia, about like 5 months ago. We had an amazing time there, and then we kept in touch. Amazing person. We had some deep conversation about like life mastery, self-development, Tony Robbins content, Proctor content, and all those like famous motivational speakers. Yeah, Tamas, like I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Cool. All right. Hello, everyone. First, I got scared. I was like, are we gonna do this in French when you speak to us? I'm like, okay, no, back to English. Yeah, basically, I'm from Hungary. I'm coaching full time people who feel they want to take their lives to the next level, whether it be in their career-wise or relationship-wise or any single area that they feel they are holding themselves back and want to access more out of their potential. And basically, in my work, I create space for people to kind of see themselves and see their lives in a new perspective, in a new angle, be able to recognize how they were holding themselves back, which they were not aware of. And in that space, we are able to create a deep personal transformation that can elevate their lives in certain areas.
Usually, like most of your clients, do they like already started a process of self-development, reading like the basic books of it, or watching TED Talks about it, or it's like all brand new for them, and then you start from scratch?
It depends. Some people already read stuff from here and there, like books on entrepreneurship or self-help stuff, and there are some people who didn't really do anything at all. So it's kind of totally fresh for them.
Yeah.
And with them, it's kind of different, like starting on a different level. Yeah.
That's curious. Let's introduce your background a bit that people more understand. So basically, you started out like 10 years ago from watching like Brian and Tracy videos or content, and then you move into a dating coach, if I'm not mistaken. From that, you move into a professional poker player, business owner, and marketing consultancy firm. And then you move into towards life coaching, into more like high performance coaching. And then now you're focusing more on transformational coaching.
Yeah.
But I guess you can more like properly introduce yourself about all that and your background.
Oh, it's the story of my life in 10 seconds. Yeah. So basically, like 10 years ago, I got introduced to this whole field of self improvement, personal development. And basically that planted the seed in my mind that we have much more potential within us that we can access, which I was not aware of, frankly. And basically, it just caught my interest to see what's possible for us when we shift our mindset, when I see things differently, when I see myself differently. And it started me on a journey of transformation. I went from a really introverted person with no friends at all, the person who became more social, more loving life, following his own passion and his own intuition about where to take life. And basically I built a lifestyle for myself, which I was dreaming of back then. Basically, freedom was one of my main things that I was craving in my life. I wanted more freedom, and it included like travel, having a business which I love doing the things I love doing, having people around me who I love spending time with. And basically, that's how I met with you as well, in Medellin, in our travel.
Yeah.
So basically, freedom and travel was a big thing for me, and I built my lifestyle and my business around that. So basically, my business is a kind of a lifestyle business where it funds a lifestyle for me where I can travel, I can do stuff that I want, I have free time, and I can attend events, workshops, awesome seminars from great people, work with some of the best coaches in the world, and so on. Things that I love. So
I think that's the best mindset to have. Like seriously, like now we're so caught in a world of like venture capital and startup and raising money, and then you need the investor. They force you to stop all the other activities you do outside of work, and then they force you to work all the time, and then you're stuck into this lifestyle of like becoming almost like an employee of like your own company, and then you have no freedom, and then most people, they realize that 5 years later after, and you're like, fuck, like I just like didn't enjoy my last 5 years because of what? Because of a dream of like just fame and money and changing the world, everyone wants to change the world. It's like, and then yeah, like I think it's a choice you need to make at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. Like, do you want to be famous and change the world, or like live a good, balanced life and launch a lifestyle business, as we say? And this is gonna allow you to like travel the world and meet so much unbelievable people from different culture, and I think it's the best way to grow. Like, and then from that experience, maybe like in the future you can launch um, a real business that might change the world, but you're going to be able to do it more easily because you're going to learn so much from all that past lifestyle business experience.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What's your perspective on that? Like, do you from your from your endpoint, do you think you're going to live this lifestyle business for all your life, or you would like to settle down after that, after maybe 5-10 years, and create something like with a world impact?
Yeah, basically, the answer to the question is I don't know yet. Like, I like to take things more in a short-term base and see what I resonate with right now in my life. But I think how my business will look like 5 years from now will be very different than now. And I know for me to take the business to the next level, it would require me to put more systems in place and more different kind of operations in the business, which frankly I just wasn't keen to do with my lifestyle now. But I know things probably will change in a couple of years, and when I feel called to do that, then I will move in that direction. Right now, I always love to start with, okay, what's the lifestyle that I want to live and how I can base my business around that to fund that lifestyle, which is very different than if I'd want to create a business, I don't know, to have a huge legacy or be it like a physical business with lots of employees and so on. That would take me and my efforts in a very different direction, and that's not what I feel called to do now.
I totally agree. I feel the same at the moment, but I know myself moving forward, maybe in 5 years, changing this kind of mindset. Do you think it's because we're still young and we're still in the period of like we still can travel with like backpack and then hostels and everything? What's your point of view on that? You
no
don't
kids, no family. I'm in
Yeah,
my
exactly.
late 20s, so I don't know. I'm not yet in the phase yet to settle down and yeah, live that kind of lifestyle. I just love traveling and meeting cool people on the road. Like Medellin was awesome with you as well. And yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Okay, let's move forward with deeper questions on your entrepreneurial mindset. So since your beginning, what was the most challenging situation so far?
Most challenging situation regarding business?
In terms of moving towards this entrepreneur journey, you know?
Mm. Mm. Well, basically, one of the biggest ones was, I think, around 4 years ago when I was running a marketing consultancy, kind of like a lifestyle business way as well. I was traveling and outsourced the work and found people to do work for. And internally, I felt that this is not the direction that I want to move in. And actually, I was at the Robbins event when this really sank in a couple of years ago, and I saw that.
Which
wow,
one? Unleash the Power Within?
Yeah, it was the Unleash the Power Within in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I realized that, oh, what I really want to do actually is coaching full-time people. I want to work with people. I want to do trainings, seminars, coaching people full-time. Because before that, I was working as a dating coach with like hundreds of men, but as a part-time thing in my life. And as I want to do this full-time, but in a different field, not dating field anymore. And yeah, to making that leap to, okay, saying that I'm quitting this company which I started to build and moving this direction, which I feel within me that I want to do. And I don't know if I will succeed or fail, but just go for it. Yeah.
So you had this spark at the Tony Robbins event.
Oh yeah.
This is how you change your life. That's amazing. Okay. So when was that exactly? That was 4 or 5 years ago?
No, I think around 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
So since then, your business has been growing and everything. And what's the still like problems or challenges you're living every day, like trying to grow or like manage your business?
Well, for example, a recent challenge that I faced beginning of July is that I came back kind of an excessive travel phase these past 6 months. And I was like, oh, I'm so looking forward to just settle down and take things to the next level and work on the business and so on. And I came back, I felt so much frustration and resistance about this that I felt like, oh, I should do these things, but I felt like it's not the period for me now. It's not the phase for me now. And for 2 weeks, I was trying to push myself just so much on this thing, which I set out to do from my mind's perspective, instead of just checking in on what's this phase about for me. And actually, I felt like I need to relearn the lesson, which I thought like I learned over and over again in my life. Slow down to speed up in these periods. Instead of just speeding up and trying to push more and more and more, slow down. And it's really important for me in the last 2 years to check in more and more and feel into what's this phase about for me in my life. And
how do you do those check-in?
By slowing down.
You have a technique, or when do you realize it's time to check in? You know, do you have a personal development journal?
Not that much anymore. In the past, I used to write almost every day into Evernote, kind of a journal. Now it's like maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks that I write stuff, and I feel I would like to put out stuff. For example, in that period, in the beginning of July, I wrote down stuff, And that helped me to reflect.
That's how you reflect and you checked in.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one, definitely. And also like sharing it with people around me who I can call as good friends, or who can help me see things from an outside perspective, which I might not see in those situations. And I think whenever we are just so busy in our minds, we usually see it less clearly. What's the next right move? What's the best decision to make? And usually we want to make the biggest decisions in our lives when we are least equipped to do so. And we are just so busy here. But when we slow down and our mind can slow down, then we are more connected naturally to our innate wisdom, or we have more innate clarity. And from that space, we see our lives more clearly. And what's the next right move for me? What's the direction for me?
Do you meditate?
Well, like in an informal way, yes, almost every day.
What do you mean?
Like meditating can mean different things to different people. For me, it means to just maybe sit down for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes at the beginning of the day, or at the end of the day, and just putting my awareness on my inner sensations, letting just my thoughts to settle down and be more in the moment, and kind of just calming down and giving space to whatever wants to arise for me, new insights, new thoughts, my situations. Yeah.
So you sit down and then you in silence by yourself, and then you just like let the thoughts goes in, right?
Yeah. I just basically feel into like, where is my awareness? Is it on my thoughts, or is it more in my inner body? Feeling the sensations, the energy going around in my body, going beyond the thoughts, settling down.
That's good. That's good. I know that one. Okay. So we said that Brian Tracy was kind of your first introduction to this. From Brian Tracy to Tony Robbins, do you have other suggestions for like life mastery and self-development?
I loved Bob Proctor, actually, which you mentioned as well.
I love him too. Let's talk about him. I didn't know he's one of the guys behind the famous documentary, The Secret.
Oh yeah, he's the main guy there, about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
I totally love the dude. Like in 2009, when I first came across his program, the You Were Born Rich, which just gave me a lot. Like basically how.
What was it called? Sorry.
You Were Born Rich.
You Were Born Rich. Okay.
I think he has a book as well on that, but it was like an old seminar that was recorded from the 80s, I think, and super gold stuff there. And yeah, he's from Toronto as well. And my main takeaway from that was the importance of where we put our focus in our life, because since then I've been working with like hundreds of people, and we always come back to this one key thing. Whenever someone comes to me, I always try to find out like, what is that person's focus and attention on? Is he focusing on what he doesn't want, or is he focusing on what he wants? Because most people, when they come like, oh, I feel stuck, I have this problem, I want to change my life and so on, they keep focusing on what I don't want. I don't want this, I don't want this, hoping that if I focus on it long enough and I complain about it long enough, it will change. But I always see change take place in our lives is when our attention moves, when our focus changes. Instead of like, okay, now I see what I don't want. That's great, because now I can start focusing on what I do want and start putting the intention around that. And then slowly we can catch momentum, catch a new wave towards that direction. I like to call it a new wave, which takes us towards there. And basically changing our attention to what we want and finding small signs of progress in that direction, which can kind of put us in an upward spiral. And then if our attention changes, it changes our behaviors as well. We pick up new opportunities or new ideas, which meditation can help with that as well, to calm our minds and we are more receptive to new ideas. And then, yeah.
That's totally true. And Tony Robbins, he talks a lot about that. And basically, one of his main phrases is life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And most of the problems that everyone lives is like when you start thinking about it, you're feeling depressed about something, you're sad about something because you're thinking about yourself. It's happening to me. This thing's I'm not gonna have this, or everything is related to me. But when you think of realizing, okay, like stop thinking about yourself, thinking about others, all that pain goes away right away, you know? So when you feel lonely, for example, you feel sad, just start thinking of like, okay, how can I give back? How can I go help someone? How can I like go volunteer for a charity? And then boom, all those negativity and bad energy is gonna move like in an instant from your mind.
Yeah.
You talked about all that to your clients?
What I like to talk with my clients is basically on having a deeper understanding of how our minds work, how we humans work, how we create our own experience of life. Because we can see like evidence as well, like people think when I will have millions and millions of dollars and people around me or fame and success, then I will be happy and I will know some life.
Yeah.
But if that was the case, then we wouldn't have cases like Robin Williams, for example, who had everything that someone in their lives could want, like loving family, friends, millions of people loving him, success, millions of dollars, but still he experienced life totally miserable, depressed, and suicidal. And there are people in the same circumstances as he was, who are joyful, who feel more alive and loving and enjoying life. And there are people who have no money and no fame, no success, and they're still happy. And there are people in the same circumstances who feel depressed. And it just means that we need to separate our own inner emotional experience of life, how we experience life, from our circumstances and how those look like. Yes. Because until we are not separating that, we always think that, oh, I need to change my circumstances in order to avoid feeling bad, or that I can feel awesome. And that kind of puts us in a rat race.
Yeah, happiness comes within. That's what the biggest mistake is, that people think happiness comes from the outside world, you know, from consequence of like what you're getting into your life, but it's not. It starts from within, from gaining the attraction of tiny action of, like, for example, you start your day by smiling at someone, and then smiling at a second person, third, fourth, that, and then you have this ball rolling of like, and then you start talking to 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and then you end up, after doing all those talks, you end up talking to an amazing person that might change your life in one day, you know. And it's all this like kind of momentum, and it starts with you with taking tiny actions every day. You focus on that kind of content as well, of like pushing people to do those like tiny actions?
Oh yeah, I love this quote. A fellow coach, friend of mine, I saw this at her post Facebook, that when you wait to act, the universe waits too. I just love that.
Say that again.
When you wait to act, the universe waits too.
Can you put us in perspective of this?
Yeah, basically, if I'm just thinking like, oh, this would be great in my life, or that would be great in my life, and just keep dreaming about that, but still focus on what I don't want in my life, and not take any actions, then things can't really come into our lives. We can't really let new opportunities come into our lives. We can't really meet those key people who might help us with our ideas. But when we just set a new direction, a new attention, like, okay, what is it that I want? And then start doing like small actions towards that, that kind of builds a momentum, and we have new ideas, we have new inspiration, we meet new people, we find new opportunities. And the combination of that is what I see, what I think creates results and changes in our lives, putting our attention on what we want and start doing action towards that. It's not rocket science, obviously. Yeah.
And from your own personal life, how do you push yourself out of your comfort zone every day to have this kind of like this tiny action ball rolling, keeping your happiness coming from within, you know?
Basically, for me, right now, what pushes my comfort zone is relationship in my life. Oh yeah, I'm facing some things about myself which was kind of in my own shadows, in my own parts which I wasn't aware of, how I was behaving, and I was reacting in certain situations, which is basically facing my own kind of stuff regarding commitment and committing to a person, and not finding reasons to separate myself from a person who I enjoy my time with, and not putting a lot of expectations on that, and which could just kill the moment and kill the enjoyment in the moment. So yeah, it's around that.
But how did you realize all that? What came you through those kind of thoughts? Like, was this a conversation you had with the person you were seeing, or?
Yeah. It's a girl I'm seeing, who I met a couple of weeks ago, and it's just, when we met, it was just so amazing. Just that deep connection that we could experience both was amazing. Why? Because we didn't have much thinking going on. It was just in the moment, and when we are in the moment, it's just something beautiful can emerge from that, whenever in sports or relationships and so on. And after a while, I started to realize like how I would want to move away from the relationship, start to find reasons of not getting too close to the person, and kind of fearing my own independence. And how I recognize that is basically when I saw myself having this inner resistance whenever I was with the person, this inner battle going on. I was like, whoa, what's this? What's this thing?
Did you realize that during your 10 minutes period of just like in silence thinking about yourself, or like writing down some journaling, or just it happened like that while you were walking the street?
Well,
you was actually in the moment with that person.
Like whenever I was with the person and I was like, okay, what's this? I want to dig deeper into this. And I was like, okay, let's find out more about this. Then I went to kind of a coach who sometimes I see who helps me reflect on stuff in my own life as well.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And then basically that, like, whenever something comes up in my own life, like, oh, what's this? How can I understand this more? Where is it coming from? How this showed up in my own life? And then having a deeper understanding of that, processing it in my life. Because basically there are so many things we are not aware of in our lives, in our conditioning, how we react in situations, which many times hold us back. And I could see like this thing had me back many times in my life. And I realized like, whoa, I want to end this. I want to see through it. Finally, I gained some awareness of it. Yeah.
It's amazing, man. Thank you for sharing. Okay. What would you do today with $10 million in your hand?
Do I have to spend it?
No, you do what you want.
Just because we played this game with Max and another friend in Medellin, like, you have $1 million and you have to spend it in 24 hours. What would you do? And we're like, all right. With $10 million, probably I would invest. I would invest the money. I would find a great person who can help me find ways to invest it. And I don't know, maybe I would choose some great workshop to attend. My buddy just came back from an awesome retreat with a Tantra guy, and it was awesome. And I don't know, maybe I would just go and do that. I don't know what would change in my life, actually.
That's a lot of money, you know.
Yeah.
Nothing to give back.
Get back?
Give back.
Oh, give back. Oh, now I feel like a bad person because that was my first thing that came out. 9.9 million I would give it to schools in Brazil. Yeah, I would start a foundation. It didn't occur to me. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. There would be a part of it which I would give back. Yeah.
Where and how?
What I resonate with around giving back is the youth. People who, I know it sounds like a cliche, but people who will be the future. Young people who can have a better direction early on in their lives and understand more about themselves and how they can handle life better to actualize more out of themselves, because we talked barely about the school system before this podcast.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that the school system does a good job about equipping us for that. Like, we go through school just having an intellectual understanding of certain subjects, and it doesn't even cover anything about emotional intelligence and emotional understanding of how we work as human beings. It's not really focusing on human-to-human connections and so on.
Life skills. There's no life skills. There's nothing. Yeah, and that should be the base. It should be the base to before anything else, you know. But no. And you need to learn by yourself on YouTube and podcasts and reading books.
What would you do with $10 million?
What would I do?
Yeah.
Well, I would actually put it all into this new initiative of We Are Entrepreneurs, because we have so much amazing projects for the future. So we're gonna start doing self-development and personal commercial development trips in buses to New York, Boston, and San Francisco. So I would give away some seats to poor students to show them opportunity of businesses and then a new life of self-development. And we want to start a school in the future as well. This is a big project, almost like a $2-3 million project. So we're would be more of a co-working with free Wi-Fi, a bit like I don't know if you've been to the camp in Chiang Mai, but like a big open space with different setups to work, very modern design, and then a very LT restaurant, Italian cafe on the side, maybe a mixology bar for apero after, and then like just reinforcing this whole entrepreneurial community that we're trying to build here, and then motivating people to launch their own projects after university and start take action. And then it's all about a learning process. The problem is that no one teach them about that, and they all think they're gonna get rich in 2-3 years by just launching a company, and then they face this reality of like, okay, maybe it's gonna take eight years. And it doesn't matter if it takes you 8 years or 10 years or 15 years. It's just, again, it's all the content you talked about. It's just the matter of realizing that this journey, you're learning every day, getting 1% better every day, just by learning about yourself and learning about others. And I think it's the best journey to like just human improvement, self-development, because you're challenging yourself every day in this entrepreneurial lifestyle. So yeah, it's teaching about all that. I'm very passionate about it because I never received it, and then I think I'm at a point where I want to teach others to learn about all that, and I feel I have the knowledge to teach the younger kids, 19 years old, 20 years old, about it. And I started doing it with my employees, and I started doing it with people I meet here and there, and mentoring people, and I love it. I love it.
I love that answer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's run a conclusion. I would love to talk with you for an hour. We tried to do a 30 minutes podcast. It's been hard all the time. Now it's been 40 minutes. Okay, let's go with quick questions, and then we're gonna do a conclusion where I tell you, like, I start a sentence and you finish them. So quick questions. What's the book you're reading at the moment?
Book I'm reading at the moment. I'm reading a book called Attached, based on attachment theories and how that shows up in relationships, because that's that's what I feel it's in front of my life right now. So I'm reading that book.
All right. What's the book you gave the most to your friends and family?
I think it was a book from my mentor, Mike O'Neill, The Inside Out Revolution.
Inside Out Revolution?
Inside Out Revolution. That book probably changed my life 2 years ago. It's just so amazing.
I'm gonna check into that. I don't know about it. We're gonna note it in the note of the podcast. Okay. What would you say to your older self at 80 years old?
To my older self, not my older self, to me.
Older self.
Wow, I've never heard that question before.
What would you say right now to your 80 years old Tamas Bedo?
I would actually ask question like, just tell me your wisdom, like, what do you see from that perspective? How was life looking like? Did I ever need to worry, actually? What do you think about that? Like, looking back, you got to 80 years old, you're fine, you're alive. Was I ever needed to worry in my life, or it was just all a waste of time?
You probably already know the answer, right?
Yeah. I'm just looking for confirmation from the 80-year-old pal. Hey, dude. Yeah, probably I would just pick his brain. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So last one, how the world will be better because you were born?
How the world is better because I'm born?
Would be better because you were born. Or will be. It's how the world will be better because you were born.
Well, actually.
How are you impacting the world or your community?
Oh yeah, like without putting modesty humbleness aside, I think actually I made this world a better place. Like that's why I love my job as well. Like seeing people transform their lives and going through deep personal changes is just amazing to see, because I have witnessed that as well in my own life, and I just love sharing that with other people as well. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, this is new for me for like maybe 1 year or two. But like, do you think it's aging that does this, or it's knowledge, or what is it?
what, the change in people?
The mindset of like always trying to give back by introducing subjects to people that are just starting out, in this process.
It's a good question. Like, I'm not really sure if I know the answer, because I see there are people who live their whole life with a totally different attitude and totally only caring about themselves, not necessarily caring about other people or giving back. And there are people who put their whole life on that. How can I contribute? How can I give more? And I don't know what triggers that in people initially. Yeah.
We need to find out. I'm gonna do some research. Okay, let's finish this with sentences. I start, you finish. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The greatest pleasure in life is.
Yeah, what just came up for me, seeing someone's life change because of you being a catalyst for that. It's just beautiful.
That's true. That's true. The best thing I ever did was.
Best thing, I got into personal development. Yeah.
Um, confront your fear, or
Comfort your fear, or
confront
confront
confront your fear,
or be ruled by it.
the future is.
Is an incomplete equation.
That's true. That's a good answer. The future is, we don't care. The goal is to live right now. Let's talk about it for 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Thomas. And that was it. That was number 6. Number 6. And hope improving it, and you guys are learning from it. And share tell us your thoughts on it, and now we can improve this and move this forward. And thank you so much for your time and energy and inspiration.
Thank you. Awesome questions. I loved it. Thanks.